Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. Dr. Rania, it's a great pleasure to be with you here and with this distinguished panelists or speakers, of course, in the presence of our great leader, Dr. Maya Morsi, and all of you. Yeah, mentioning Suhaila, it's, I have, given that it's being streamed, I have to be even more careful. I know I'm not normally careful, but in the presence of a tough critique coming from her all the time, that we shouldn't really be celebrating little success here and there in transactions, but making the transformation to fix the mess of older generation. I think she includes me in older generations. So anyways, right. So how can we go about the whole thing related to operationalization and an implementation COP, the role of women in society and the role of women in business, especially in our part of the world, needs really to be enhanced better than just celebrating diversity. It's more about inclusion. And when we talk about inclusion, it's basically inclusion where it matters. Like in your position, Minister, you can decide and take decisions. In businesses as well, we need to have rules of engagement. I'm happy that in my country there are two sensible regulators, the Governor of Central Bank of Egypt and the Financial Regulatory Authority, and they started to take matters related to inclusion on board very seriously in business. And through banks and the financial sector at the commanding heights, you can make influence by ensuring that there is a critical minimum of presentation in the executive boards of financial institutions and hence in the rest of the sector. So 3 examples, and I'm happy to listen to more ideas coming from you. One area of work is basically this big national project co-led by ministers of planning, international cooperation, the National Council for Women. We have as well Environment Ministry, CIT, and many more. Most important part, that's not stopping at the national level, where you can always get some good news in inclusion and diversity, but it went further down, deeper to the governorates and townships. And as we speak, there are many projects in the 6 tracks, including a special track for women, but I'm happy to see adequate representation, not really adequate enough, but adequate representation by women across the other lines of business, from mega projects, less so in mega projects, but more in small and medium enterprises and local development projects. We need more of that. We need more engagements going forward in this, especially that it was decided under that good rule by the Prime Minister and auspices of the President of the country, that this is going to be a permanent feature every year. And through discussion, you were there through your very successful event pre-COP, when we had the discussion with the DSG, Amina Mohammed, that she said she celebrates this initiative and she supports having this initiative to be part of future COPs. Will be the discussion with our friends on the COP28. The other initiative is regional, and it's good that Jay is here, because this requires leadership at the global level and regional level. When we were required by the GFANs, by our good friend Mark Carney, on how to provide a positive response to the promise of the GFAN through pipeline of bankable and investable projects. And for that, I'm insisting on investable, because we have more debt than what we can afford to pay in some countries. Not all countries are in the same position, but I think we need to encourage more long-term investments and more leveraging for the private sector if the debt is coming as essential part of the finance mix. Leveraging should be a component. I'm happy to see that more than 80 countries submitting more than 420 projects. We are projectizing, to your term, Minister, here in, yeah, that was my old term, but it still survived. Anyways, we have a compendium of 50 projects. We are showcasing them here of all of the 5 regions. The bias still towards mitigation, less so in adaptation, but I hope with the leadership of Egypt in partnership with the rest of the world in the Sharm el-Sheikh adaptation agenda, and rediscovering the beauty of the nexus, including the platform in Egypt on the nexus on energy, food, and water. We can really have more of that. The final point, and here, perhaps I would need your leadership, Minister, not just nationally or locally, but your participation as governor in many of the MDBs that this country is a shareholder of. Terms of finance, as we speak in the financial architecture, perhaps ordinary women, like from my village and town, would say, well, why we talk about global finance when we are talking about women? Because these kind of global financial terms impact women and men everywhere. Terms and conditions of finance as obtained from multilateral development banks impact you at grassroots level. So the proposal is simple. One of the best established platforms for finance is IDA. It serves, IDA is the International Development Association. It serves the low-income countries, but it has a window for women. It has a window for private sector participation. It can go subnational. It can go regional. So what's my proposal? What's new in it? It's to extend IDA service not just to low-income countries, but to low-middle-income countries as well. Because, surprise, surprise to some people, Africa is not low-income countries anymore. The majority are non-low-income countries, including middle-income countries. As mentioned by the President of South Africa, don't be deceived by middle income because of standard deviation high around the middle income averages. We are all vulnerable, so we need to extend new finance, concessional finance, especially to resilience, with these following terms inspired by IDA and the Resilience and Sustainability Trust Fund. Maximum of 1%, grace period not to be less than 10, and paying back period to be no less than 20. If we do that, we can leverage private sector, we can green businesses, especially in areas that are hard to find finance for from the private sector when it comes in particular to areas in adaptation. I'm not worried about mitigation as such because the private sector started to find its spirit, its business case there. But resilience, and I hope in good day, inshallah, on Friday, we'll hear more about the loss and damage so we can talk about the role of insurance sector as well in that front. But let's talk business in resilience. That would require the leadership of women because lots of the resilience activities with what we heard earlier today about the small enterprises, especially in farming, in food production in Africa, would benefit directly from this. So we need the leadership of women to extend IDA terms, not just to the World Bank, anywhere, unless somebody would tell me, I have better terms in any of this of the existing funds, so we can just borrow from these terms, not just financial terms, but technical assistance, capacity development, and supporting the opportunities for women. I'm trying to avoid empowering, not to be punished when I go home. All right, having said that, very grateful to the opportunity. We'll be behind the great work, but there is a great deal of work at the public and the private sectors alike. Thank you so much.